History is all around us. There are secrets of our past around every corner, hidden in our streets, buried under our feet. And in this series, I'll be uncovering those secrets by exploring Britain's most historic towns.
You're in my way! Get out of the way!
I'm looking for the towns and cities that can reveal the most about each period in British history. That sent shivers down my spine. Yeah. That's amazing. I'll be deciphering clues in familiar landscapes, bringing lost landmarks back to life, and turning back the clock to reveal how these towns looked at key stages in their history. You shouldn't be in here, should you? From the Georgians to the Edwardians, the Plantagenets to the Civil War, I'll reveal the story of an era through the story of a single town. Today, I'm in Britain's most Stewart town. For more than 200 turbulent years, it was the home of the Scottish royals who would become all-powerful. Famously taking the English throne, they would go on to create Great Britain. It's a town littered with secrets from the time of Mary, Queen of Scots. I'm impressed, Murray. I mean, you just arrived here and just go, yeah, that bit there. A town where the castle's hidden passageways reveal the private passions of a king. Is it normal to have accommodation that links up through the closet? And a town that saw 2 Scottish kings die after bloody battles with their great nemesis, English King Henry VIII. If you want to understand the royal Stuarts, then Stirling is the place to be. The modern city of Stirling lies nestled in the Forth Valley. It forms the gateway to the Highlands. And it's a bustling, thriving city, full of families, thronged with tourists who flock here to see the picturesque castle and its historical monuments. But back in the Middle Ages, the history that draws people here today was happening, and life in Stirling was far from relaxed and peaceful. It was the Stuarts who would establish Stirling as a royal stronghold. For over 2 centuries, the family had its roots here and clung on to power in the face of constant political turmoil. Scotland was a small nation and found itself being used as a pawn in the power struggles between those great European rivals, England and France. But after generations spent fighting with their English enemies, it was the Scots who would eventually emerge triumphant. A Stuart king would ultimately inherit the English throne, a move that would lead to the creation of Great Britain. It was anything but a smooth journey. The Stuarts' rule began in 1371 and included 9 separate monarchs, almost all of them meeting bloody ends. Starting with James III, who in 1488 lost his crown in a bitter family feud. This is Cambus Kenneth Abbey, or at least it was. Most of it's in ruins. It's just the bell tower which is still standing. But I'm meeting somebody here who can reveal to me the significance of this place for the early Stuarts. Historian Dr. Claire Hawes is an expert in Scotland's medieval politics. There seems to be so much political instability in Scotland during this time, and it's all about power, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, it was a phenomenally successful dynasty in terms of their longevity, but individual kings and queens tended to have a bit of a rough time politically, though. There was quite a few violent and or untimely deaths among these sort of Stuart monarchs. There were a lot of noble Stuarts in this period as well. It was a very big family. So there were sort of familial tensions and territorial tensions and these kind of things as well.
Yeah. So James III is now King of Scotland.
Yep.
how does his reign go? Are there political tensions throughout that as well?
Huge political tensions. It's very difficult. He faces 2 rebellions during his time as king, and then he died near here in the field at Sauchieburn, fighting a rebel army led by his son, who was then to become James IV. Yes.
It's a very dangerous thing to be a Stuart king.
Yes.
So James IV came to power then, having dispatched his father.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And James III is buried right over there.
Just here?
Yep.
James III's reign had ended on the battlefield in a rebellion fronted by his own son. The regicidal James IV now had the keys to the Scottish kingdom, but it was a kingdom divided. The new king needed a secure base from which he could exert control. The Stuarts had several royal residences: Edinburgh Castle, Falkland Palace in Fife, and Linlithgow Palace, but it was Stirling, with its castle sitting high up on a rocky crag, where James IV felt most secure. The strategic importance of Stirling becomes obvious when you look at its position in the landscape, as archaeologist Ben Robinson can see from the air.
I've just got my first view of Stirling Castle, sitting on this craggy outcrop in the floodplain. It's quite amazing. And it's a real gateway location. It's right on where the highlands start and where the lowlands begin. And the key to this area is the River Forth. If you're to get from the lowlands into the highlands, you need to cross the Forth. And this castle is the defensive key to this whole area. It overlooks everything. It's a crucial bridge. It's an immensely strategic location. If you want to capture Scotland, you have to capture this castle.
King James now had his fortress, and he would need it. In the late 15th century, the Scots were caught up in the power struggle between England and France. For years, the Scots had decided it was a safer bet to build an allegiance with the French rather than the English. James IV wanted to maintain and strengthen these links to the continent and expand Scotland's influence. And you can see the scale of his ambitions here in the great hall he built at Stirling Castle. This is a fantastic space, isn't it?
Yeah, that's about the grandeur. That's about getting the impression of status and power.
I'm meeting Professor Michael Brown to find out how King James IV tried to balance Scotland's delicate relationship with England and France. What would have happened in this great hall? What does James IV build it for?
All the 15th century Stuart kings are really concerned about the way they stand in Europe, the connections they can make. But I think by the time you're getting to James IV, it's not exactly an obsession, but it's certainly something which is central to his policy. So building a great hall like this is not simply meant for entertaining or impressing Scots. It's meant to receive embassies from other kingdoms, people coming to his court, who are then going to take their impressions back to their employers, to their rulers.
And what about his relationship with France then? I mean, Scotland has the old alliance with France. There must have been a tension there, and the relationship then of Scotland with England.
Yes, I mean, I think we are at a kind of pivotal period in the late 15th and early 16th century, where the French alliance offers Scotland a way of looking beyond its boundaries. But then, in the early 1500s, he makes a peace treaty, the first formal peace treaty with England for over 150 years. And it's followed by a marriage to Henry VII, Henry Tudor's daughter, Margaret Tudor, which takes place in 1503 and is celebrated as the union of the thistle and the rose.
Yeah, I mean, this does bring the two kingdoms very close together. And so then what happens? I mean, these alliances with England and France, which one comes to the fore?
I think there's a tension. You know, James is, in a way, playing off both sides, but wants to be recognised as a player. And that's the problem, I think.
In the early 16th century, James IV was playing high-stakes political poker. He'd signed a peace treaty with England and even married Henry VIII's sister, Margaret Tudor, but he'd continued Scotland's old alliance with England's enemy, the French. It was a risky strategy. Keen to secure his position as a European king to be respected, he also needed to strengthen his military. And from his vantage point at Stirling, James IV looked towards the sea. I'm travelling just a few miles out of Stirling to visit an archaeological site that I think might provide the key to understanding the scale of James IV's naval ambition. Here on the River Forth, archaeologists have uncovered remains that date back to the time of James IV and what appears to be a naval dockyard.
Shall I stick that on,
yeah,
please?
of course.
Yeah.
Then I'm a proper member of the team. I'm meeting coastal archaeologist Ellie Graham to find out more. It's quite incredible today because you just look at this landscape and there's nothing really to suggest that there was a big docks here in the Middle Ages.
It's amazing how much this landscape has changed actually in the past 500 years. But one of the first clues was a map drawn in the late 16th century and it actually shows 3 little ships at the mouth.
Yeah.
And then when you look into things like the treasurer's accounts, for James IV's court, they'll need detailed payments for all sorts of things associated with the dockyards, from timbers. There's records of various shipwrights coming down here, carrying out maintenance, and James himself visiting the ships here on a number of occasions.
So far, the dig has uncovered some remarkable evidence. The stonework of a long-lost pier, and even seashells, showing that this area was once right at the water's edge.
Can you grab the other side of this handle?
Down to the bottom.
Shouldn't be.
There's more work to be done.
There we go. Okay.
If we can find signs of buried black sediment here, this would indicate traces of a channel marking the entrance of James IV's lost docks.
There we are. Just the last little bit. So do you want to do the honours?
That has changed there, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's paler grey here.
Yeah. This is more like the sort of material I might have expected in a channel. That sort of, there's no structure to it, so it hasn't just been laid down and built up gradually. This could be part of the channel.
Fantastically. I'm so excited by this. And it seems as though it's all set up, and it's not at all, because Ellie thought we wouldn't find anything and she thought it would just be edge of the estuary. And here we are, there we go. I think this proves it. This was James IV's docks, or the entrance to it, right here. The work being done here has uncovered forgotten traces of a truly massive site that reveals the huge ambitions James IV had for Scotland. Before the archaeologists started work here, it was hard to believe that this was ever anything but a natural environment, these salt marshes on the banks of the Forth. But if you imagine yourself slipping back to the time of James IV, it's very different. This is a thriving docks. In the early 16th century, James IV's docks are an important port. Supplies for Stirling arrive and goods for trading head outwards. At the quayside, James's new navy is taking shape. And towering over everything is the flagship of the Scottish Navy, a massive statement of James IV's military intent, the colossal Great Michael. At around 73 metres long, the 4-masted warship is crewed by 300 mariners and 120 gunners, and is capable of carrying 1,000 soldiers into battle. The Great Michael is twice the size of anything in the English Navy, and James IV would soon be needing every bit of military equipment at his disposal. His attempts at playing power politics would soon bring him into conflict with his hot-headed English brother-in-law, Henry VIII. I'm in Stirling, investigating the legacy of the Scottish royal dynasty, the Stuarts. The city's famous castle still dominates the modern landscape, and back in the 16th century, the Stuarts needed a stronghold. Tensions between Scotland and England were running high. The Scottish King James IV had hoped to turn his nation into a great military power, and now had the biggest warship in Europe moored up in his docks on the Forth. All of this effort to turn Scotland into a military power, but it wasn't to last. In 1513, James IV met King Henry VIII's army at the Battle of Flodden. What he'd started to build here crumbled away. The famously volatile English king had reignited war with France. James IV was caught between a rock and a hard place. Scotland had alliances with both the French and the English. In 1513, James IV was drawn into the conflict, and the Scottish king was killed fighting the English. He was the last monarch in the UK to die on the battlefield. The crown would now pass to his son, James V. James V followed in his father's footsteps, pouring money into the royal buildings here at Stirling, and the pinnacle of his architectural achievement was this, the imposing and elegant castle palace. The palace that James V built here was the height of luxury in 16th century Europe. Whilst the new king was busy making Stirling Castle a shining symbol of his power, outside the castle walls, the Stewart's presence was also reshaping this medieval town. Today, this is Broad Street, previously High Street, and this whole area is known as the top of the town. The castle is just up there, and in the Stewart period, that is where the nobles built their houses, clustering as close as possible to the royal seat of power. In the time of James V, the growing population of his royal capital was packed along the slopes of this relatively small town and created big issues. I'm meeting local historian John Harrison to find out what life was like for real people living in pre-industrial medieval towns. John, what would it have been like for the people of Stirling outside the castle, living in the shadow of the castle?
If you think of it seen from outside, you have the castle at the top, and that's the seat of royal and military power. The sort of area where we are now is one of the more prestigious sort of parts of the town proper, exemplified by the church just behind me.
So the
here,
kind of
example.
next tier of society.
And then as you move down the hill, there is a tendency for the social standing and the wealth of the people who live there to go down. And at the very bottom of the town, there's a street called the Dirt Row. And this is trickle-down economics, and you can see what trickles down this long hill.
So it's actually called Dirt Row?
It's called the Dirt Row.
That is Dirt Row?
Dirt Row.
Yeah.
But a lot of towns have streets like that and a layout like that. There's a foul Vennel in Dunfermline. There was a shitwind in Glasgow.
Really?
And
So Stirling's
say it
not
like
alone.
it is, not alone.
So Stirling would have presumably stunk to high heaven.
We've got to be clear that all pre-industrial towns stank to high heaven.
Right, it's not just Stirling. What about all the human waste and the manure, though? I mean, what happened to that? It had to go somewhere.
It was a huge issue and very contentious. In theory, people are supposed to put, for example, their stable and bio-waste out in a heap in the street a day or two before it's going to be removed, and then it should be carted out to the fields. But in practice, of course, what happens, a lot of it just gets washed down the street whenever there's a rainstorm. It's eventually going to get to the Dirt Row at the bottom of the town.
So you've gone from the castle with the royalty, the nobility living just below the castle, and you're gradually going lower and lower and lower in society until you've got the people living at Dirt Row.
It's not an absolute division, but the tendency is the elite at the top and the poor at the bottom.
The management of animal and human excrement was a real problem in 16th century British towns. Access to clean drinking water could also be an issue. But then, our medieval predecessors didn't just drink water. Ale was an absolutely essential staple of the medieval diet. Hello, John.
Hello.
Hi. Do you need an assistant?
Oh, yes, please.
I'm meeting master brewer John Reed in the original kitchens of Stirling Castle. He's using old techniques and recipes to show me just how important ale was in quenching medieval thirsts. Right, shall I stick that in then?
Yes, just pour it in. Now, you need to stir the grain in.
So this is the malted barley, is it?
It is, yes.
Yeah. It smells like breakfast cereal.
It does.
Yeah.
Just cover it up. This was a way that they would have trapped the heat in there.
Yeah. So how long are we going to leave it then?
45 minutes, an hour.
This is slow television then now. 45 minutes of waiting for this to cool down a bit. So John, who was drinking ale at this period?
Everybody was drinking ale. Ale was a liquid bread. So bread and ale were the staple diet for the vast majority of people. 80% of their diet was bread and ale. It was an easy way of getting carbohydrates, keeping hydrated, especially if you imagine that the lifestyle then was more energetic, less sedentary than it is now.
Yeah, it's an energy drink.
It's an energy drink, yes.
So ale is important as a foodstuff in its own right, but I presume also as a way of hydrating. It's safer than drinking water in a city.
Very much so, yeah. In any urban town, there would be a lot of industries using the same water supplies. So in an urban environment, yes, definitely, it would be a safe way of getting liquid inside you.
Well, do you think we've been chatting quite a while now? Do you think we're ready for the next stage?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Here it comes.
And actually, if you put your finger in and lick it...
Oh my goodness, it's sweet.
It is. So that has converted the starches that we know are in there into sugars.
That's astonishing. We haven't put any sugar in that.
No sugar at all.
That's really sweet. Now this presumably is not ale yet because it hasn't fermented.
No. And these are dried yeast from the previous ale that I brewed, and they would keep it and store it. And next time they do a brew, they throw that in, and that would start the fermentation.
And how long does it then take to turn this liquid into ale?
Anywhere between 2 days and 10 days.
So, John, we don't actually have time to wait for this to ferment. I'm rather hoping that you might have something you made earlier.
Yes, I have.
Can I have a taste?
By all means. It's very elderberry-like, but it's...
I'm hoping it tastes better than my dad's elderberry one. I shouldn't say that. He'll watch this and kill me. Do you know, that's rather pleasant, John.
It is, yeah.
I think you should start bottling this and selling it, John. It's fantastic, thank you. Yes. It's an authentic taste of medieval Stirling.
Great.
Cheers. You can have some.
Oh, I'll join you with one of those.
King James V may have shared his subjects' taste for Scottish ale, but it was his taste in all things French that would dominate life at the court. The new palace he built here was styled like a French chateau, reflecting his political leanings. Continuing the old alliance, he married a French princess. When she died, he quickly married another French noblewoman, Mary de Guise. I'm talking to Professor Michael Brown again to find out more about James V's French connection. What kind of a king was he then? What was he doing politically?
On one level, he's following on from his father, so he's doing the same kind of things, playing the same kind of games. He's looking to, if you like, insert Scotland into the power politics of 16th century Europe. But in some senses, he has a stronger hand than his father, because Henry VIII, who's still King of England, has taken England into the Reformation. So you've got a Protestant England and a still Catholic Scotland, and that makes Scotland a valuable bargaining chip in terms of international politics.
So he's really secured this alliance with France, this very long-standing alliance with France, but he's consolidating it through those marriages. How does that affect the relationship of Scotland with England?
Well, Henry has burnt his boats to a certain extent. He's cut England off from Europe, quite topical. And Scotland is, in a sense, in a position to choose between a quite anxious Henry and an alliance with a French king. And in 1541, Henry goes north to York and waits there for James V to come and meet him, and James snubs him. James refuses to come south. I think he's worried that once he's in England, Henry VIII's reputation for gentle behaviour towards people is maybe a little bit shaky. So James stays put in Scotland, and Henry is deeply offended, and war breaks out soon afterwards.
Nothing was guaranteed to annoy the fiery Henry more than the Scots' continued cosiness with the French. When Henry sent his armies north to invade, the Scots met them just south of the border and suffered a crushing defeat. The King of Scotland escaped the battle with his life, but soon fell seriously ill, just as his wife gave birth to a girl. The new heir to the throne was the infant Mary, Queen of Scots. James V was despondent. He lay on his deathbed feeling wretched and desperate about the future of the Stewart dynasty. He's quoted as saying, "It came wi' a lass and it will gang wi' a lass." He didn't trust a woman to rule his kingdom, and he died 6 days later. Scotland now had its first Stuart queen. Could she prove her father wrong? The town of Stirling was centre stage in the dramatic story of the Stuarts, and the most famous Stuart of them all, Mary, Queen of Scots, would now continue the legacy. As a tiny newborn baby, Mary became Queen of Scotland, and 9 months later, in September 1543, she was officially crowned right here in Stirling Castle. The young Queen Mary's father and grandfather had both died battling the English king, Henry VIII. Henry now schemed to insert himself into the life of the young Scottish queen. I'm meeting Nikki Scott from Historic Environment Scotland in the beautifully restored palace here at Stirling Castle. So this is the Queen's bedchamber?
This is the Queen's bedchamber.
It's rather wonderful, isn't it? It's very ornate.
This was the height of fashion.
So Mary's this infant running around in the castle, but there must have been plans for her future already being set in place.
Oh, absolutely, and nothing more so than her marriage. Who Mary was going to marry is absolutely one of the most crucial questions that was facing the country at the time. Does she marry into England, thus allying Scotland with its old enemy? Does she marry France and preserve the old alliance?
Yeah, that's what she can do for Scotland. She can secure an allegiance.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And if she can secure peace or a treaty with one of those sort of great kingdoms, then that's going to be of massive benefit to the country.
Yeah. Mary's famously impulsive great-uncle Henry VIII already had plans for her future. Rather handily, he has a 5-year-old son, Prince Edward, and surely a perfect husband for the young Scottish Queen.
By marrying his son to Mary and getting control of Scotland, he can do what, English kings have been trying for centuries before to do and pacify Scotland.
Yeah.
So he's very interested in that marriage, but it doesn't go according to plan. He's very determined to get control of the person of the little queen and wants to bring her to England. That doesn't go down well with the Scots, who want to keep control of Mary, essentially.
Yeah.
And so Henry invades.
Henry's troops marched north as his determination to get his hands on Mary, Queen of Scots, and therefore the Scottish crown, sparked yet another feud between the bitter enemies. The conflict that followed was referred to later as the rough wooing. There was nothing romantic about it. The Scots threw up huge defensive walls around Stirling to protect the young Mary, and they remain the best preserved city walls in Scotland, and parts of them are to be found in some very unusual places. I'm meeting historian and archaeologist Dr. Murray Cook. Hi.
Hi Alice, how are you?
In the delivery yard of a shopping centre.
After you.
So this is 16th century?
This is the 16th century bastion, known as the Thieves' Pot, built to deter Henry VIII.
So is this 16th century too?
Some of it's been rebuilt,
Yeah.
but this is definitely 16th century here. So the bastion is part of the city wall, so if you've got a city wall, you need to be able to defend it.
Yeah.
This is a 16th century gun loop.
Oh, right. For a
So-
small cannon.
For a very small
Yeah,
cannon, it would still
yeah.
do a lot of damage. And then up here, well, here we go then.
There we are. Out of the medieval into the 21st century shopping centre. It's weird. I feel as though I've just time travelled. Look, take me back to the 16th century. Are there
Yes.
any more of these walls to
Oh,
find?
yeah.
Take me there.
Yes, let's go.
Stirling's old city walls defended the southern perimeter of the town. Along the pathway below the castle, there's some unusual Royal Stewart archaeology.
You see all this, the slopes are gone, there's no vegetation on it.
Yeah.
All of this is the castle midden. All of it is the rubbish from the king's old buildings up above us.
Yeah.
And what we're looking at here is 800 years of everything that was consumed in the castle dumped over the side. So
That was the normal thing to do, was it? You just, yeah, you just got your rubbish and you just chuck it over the side. So did you find any material that dated back to the time of the Stuarts?
lots of stuff with the Stuarts, lots of stuff that was thrown over when Mary Queen of Scots was here.
Can you see any now?
If we may have to wander up and down a bit. Oh, no,
Yeah.
look.
What's that?
That is medieval.
I'm impressed, Murray. I mean, you just arrived here and just go, yeah, that bit there.
So this is the local clay being made into pot. It is wheel turned, and you
Yeah.
can see fragments of the glaze on the outside.
Yeah, little spots of it just still glinting in the sun there.
This is easily 15th, 16th century.
Yeah.
And we didn't plant it.
That's fantastic. It could have been there in the royal kitchens, on the royal table. The young Mary, Queen of Scots, was kept safe from the clutches of Henry VIII within these city walls. And it was during this time that the Royal Stuarts helped give Scotland its national obsession. I'm meeting curator of the Stirling Smith Museum, Michael McGuinness, at the training ground of Stirling University's women's football team, and he's brought along a remarkable object.
Okay, this is a very historic object. So we're going to wear some gloves. This is the oldest football in the world and associated with Mary, Queen of Scots.
That's amazing. And it's intact.
It's intact.
Tell me about how it was found then.
It was found during renovation work in the Royal Palace, in between rafters above the Queen's bedchamber.
That's amazing. Do we know about the date of it then?
We can be fairly accurate because we know the roof panelling and the room in general were decorated in the 1540s.
Yeah.
It's not any later than that.
So what was the game of football like in the Stuart period?
Well, there was a game which was a violent mass sport played in the streets involving potentially hundreds of people fighting essentially over the ball. But the Stuart kings were playing a different game. We know that Mary watched the game and it's described that there was 20 people playing it, 10 a side. They played for 1 hour and they changed sides.
Michael, it sounds to me like we could make a fairly good case for the Stuart kings and queens were instrumental in the early evolution of the beautiful game.
Totally, absolutely.
Go for it. This 500-year-old football is officially recognised as the oldest in existence. Michael wasn't up for us having a kickabout with his precious original object, but he brought some replicas. It's a bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So much lighter than I thought. If we played with it in a normal game, then it'd probably be burst in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah. It's lighter than a normal football then, smaller and lighter. Mary, Queen of Scots, would eventually leave this football behind at Stirling Castle. Henry VIII still wanted control of the young queen, but at just 5 years old, she was smuggled out of Scotland and sent to France, where she would marry the king. But he died in 1560 after just a year on the French throne. In England, Henry VIII was long dead, and Elizabeth was now on the throne. And the widowed Mary returned to her Scottish kingdom. To find out about her return, I'm meeting Nikki Scott again. So Mary comes back to Scotland then, back to the castle, back to these rooms that her father designed.
Yes, back to the rooms her father designed and which are now her rooms as the monarch.
How old is she when she comes back to Scotland?
She's still a teenager, 18, 19 years old. It's a complete lifestyle change for her. She's used to a life of luxury in France and suddenly she has to come back and be a reigning queen in a country that's gotten quite used to managing without the presence of the Queen, thank you very much, and to a country that has just had a religious reformation. So she's now the Catholic Queen of a Protestant country, which obviously creates difficulties for her as well.
The political and religious landscape that Mary has returned to is a minefield. And on the ceiling of Mary's new palace is a reminder of her complicated heritage. These are known as the Stirling heads. They're like a bunch of Renaissance selfies, oak carvings containing images of people important in Stewart royal life.
And they're curious images, aren't they? I mean, there's a funny little cherub thing there.
Yes, there's a mix of sort of the mythological figures from classical literature, but also real people. So you have Henry VIII staring out.
Yeah. Quite curious to have him, because he can't have been that popular a character at this point.
Absolutely not, yes, but it represents Mary's claim to the English throne.
Yeah.
Because she is Queen of Scots, but she's a descendant of Margaret Tudor, Henry's sister.
Yeah, so that's why Mary has got quite a strong claim, actually.
She has an incredibly strong claim to the English throne.
Fate would conspire against the young Scottish queen, and things would go spectacularly wrong for her. Female monarchs were viewed with disdain at the time, and objections about her choice of husband, as well as her status as a Catholic queen in a Protestant country, would boil over and eventually lead to her forced abdication. Her fate is sealed. She flees to England, and 2 decades later, Mary is beheaded for her involvement in a plot to assassinate her cousin, Elizabeth I. Scotland's queen may have fallen, but in true Stuart style, she left a young heir, her son, James VI. James VI had been baptised a Catholic at the Royal Chapel inside Stirling Castle, but when Mary abdicated, the 1-year-old James was brought here to the newly reformed Church of the Holy Rood to be crowned a Protestant king. The coronation lasted 3 hours, fairly short by 16th century standards. And afterwards, the infant king was returned to the safety of Stirling Castle. Like his mother, James VI grew up within the protected walls of Stirling Castle, but controversy and conflict were never far behind. I'm about to find out the huge impact James VI would have on the whole of Britain and uncover secrets the castle reveals about the intimate life of the new Stuart king. Stirling was the heart of Stuart Scotland. Despite several angry flashpoints with their noisy neighbours, the English, this Scottish royal dynasty had managed to keep their kingdom together. In 1566, James VI became king, and like many powerful people across Europe, he'd become obsessed with a growing menace. The orphaned James VI grew up to be a prolific writer, most famous, of course, for his translation of the Bible, which became a landmark in the English language. But he also wrote this peculiar little book, which would have a profound effect on the lives of ordinary women. It's called Demonology, and it is a vitriolic attack on witchcraft. Sixteenth century Europe was a dangerous time to be a woman. With constant political and religious upheaval, the powerful looked for scapegoats, and some believed there was an organised female conspiracy threatening their kingdoms. Witchcraft was a genuine fear. With King James VI verging on obsessive with all things mystical, Stirling was caught up in the craze. I wasn't quite expecting to land up in a car park.
I know, it's a beautiful surrounding, isn't it? So elegant, so pretty. And there we are, hidden underneath a wall and lots of ivy, St Ninian's Well.
I'm with Dr. Joyce Miller, an expert in Scottish medieval witchcraft, to explore this ancient well. So would this have been particularly attractive for local witches, do you think?
Yes. There was one case from the 17th century when a woman called Bessie Stevenson was accused of witchcraft and described using the water from the well for healing practices.
So what would she have been doing in there? Can we go inside?
Yes, let's go inside and have a look.
Oh, spooky.
So this is it. So water here would be used for healing. That's what she was recommending.
And what would that involve?
Well, she told people to come and wash their clothing in this water, very clear water, and that would be a form of cleansing. She also incorporated herbs. She incorporated other features such as threads and belts for different kinds of conditions.
None of this sounds particularly malevolent or threatening.
No.
What happened to Bessie in the end?
In the end, she was executed, sadly. It does demonstrate that there was no one thing that defined anyone as being a witch. It was how those in authority perceived actions.
Yeah. And that could be seen as a crime, punishable by death.
Yeah.
It's extraordinary. It is fascinating to come here to talk to Joyce about witch hunting. And I think that it's also interesting to look at how involved the king was with witch hunting. James VI attended trials all across Scotland and personally took part in the persecution of suspected witches. But it wasn't just evidence of his pursuit of witches that James VI left behind. There's also evidence of affairs of a more personal nature. Castle guide Ross Blevins has agreed to take me to the King's secret apartments.
So this is the King's closet behind his bedchamber. But the chances are he used it more as an office, as an oratory. But it also contains a secret staircase.
Can we go and take a look upstairs? Oh, there's a door.
Ah, there's a door here.
Oh. Ross, this is a costume store now.
It is.
What was it?
Well, we're up on the top floor of the palace, immediately above the King's apartments. So originally, these were rooms that were used for the King's friends.
Is it normal to have accommodation that links up through the closet?
It's perhaps unusual.
But we think that the King had a very good friend of his upstairs above his bedchamber. That very good friend was George Villiers, a commoner who rose through the ranks to become one of the King's closest advisors. But rumours abound about the exact nature of their friendship.
We know that the King was very friendly with Villiers, and he did come up to Scotland with the King in 1617, but I'm sure it was a perfectly innocent arrangement.
Yeah.
The King was a respectable married man, devoted to Anna of Denmark. I'm sure there was nothing untoward in his friendship with Villiers.
Do you know, though, if I was Anne of Denmark, I'd have been really suspicious about the King having Villiers in this room above his bedchamber.
Well, you may have grounds for suspicion, but who can say?
During the 16th century, homosexuality could be punishable by death. Even for a king, this was a dangerous liaison. The secret staircase is only suggestive, but there are historical clues about this monarch who would be referred to as Queen James. I think the king was aware of the rumours that surrounded him at the time, and he was willing to defend himself. So in 1617, he addresses the Privy Council, and this is what he says. I, James, am neither a god nor an angel, but a man like any other. Therefore, I act like a man and confess to loving those dear to me more than other men. You may be sure that I love the Earl of Buckingham, Villiers, more than anyone else, and more than you who are here assembled. I wish to speak in my own behalf and not to have it thought to be a defect. So he was incredibly open about his love of Villiers. What we'll never know is what went on behind closed doors up in Stirling Castle. But I think it is obtuse not to accept that James was a gay king. Whilst King James VI was pursuing his passions here in Scotland, it was events unfolding down south that were about to transform his future. His distant English ancestry was about to have dramatic consequences. When Elizabeth I died childless, James VI, the great-grandson of James IV and Margaret Tudor, was next in line to the English throne. The Scottish king was about to become king of England too. With delicious irony, the Stuarts, who had spent generations defending their kingdom against English hostility, now crossed the border and took the English throne without a shot being fired. James VI of Scotland became James I of England. The Scottish king would now rule over the whole of Britain. He moved his royal household south to London. Stirling was no longer the preferred home of the Stuart monarchy, and the town soon fell into decline. Its days at the heart of the royal Stuart dynasty had come to an end. But let's not forget just how this town prospered under the Stuarts. From the grandeur of James IV's Great Hall and the magnificent palace of James V, to the immense dockyards on the nearby Forth, built to house some of the biggest ships in Europe. For more than 200 years, Stirling was home to the Stuart dynasty. 9 generations of this incredible family would rule Scotland before inheriting the realms of England and Ireland, creating the union that still exists today. All of which goes to prove that Stirling is Britain's most Stuart town.